What if we built our communities around people instead of cars? What if we built them around a communal lifestyle instead of an individualistic lifestyle? Now, I'm all for freedom, go America, but we've reached a point where our communities have become isolation chambers where we can't interact with each other anymore because our environments are built for cars, not human beings. And we need to be reminded that we are actually human beings and not cars. In this video, I'm not going to just ask what if we can build better communities, but I'm going to show what is. I'm going to show some communities that have successfully built integrated towns with walkable streets, vibrant shops, and just a beautiful environment for everyone. So,
I just wanted to show you what I'm talking about with a town in Germany, Rothenburg, Germany, one of the best preserved medieval towns in the world. Look at the way it's surrounded by agriculture. It's a self-contained town, no urban sprawl, and there's even a wall all the way around it, and there's a church in the middle, and it's surrounded by a square and walking paths, and you can even park your car outside the city. This is an idea that I think we can implement in modern times. There's parking right outside the main historic city, and then people just walk in. Of course, there's also places to park in the city, but we can contain the traffic in the city by offering parking toward the outside and encourage walking. There's nothing wrong with walking, or we can provide other means of transportation. I'm not against the automobile. I understand the practicality of cars, but we've become too dependent on them. And something's to be said about these towns that were built before the age of the car, and they were perfectly self-sufficient. And you could tell that people built this town with pride. Local pride.
all right, here's another town, Le Mans, France. It's in Brittany. And this is a little bit of an example of a well-preserved medieval town, but also lots of urban sprawl too. But the one thing I wanted to point out in this town is how the town developed around the church. If you look at the old section right here along the river, you can see the old architecture is all right around this beautiful structure. Cathedral, or I don't know how to say things in proper French dialect, but Cathédrale Saint-Julien-les-Mans, which is the namesake of the town and the first bishop of the city. The town was named after him, and you could see how the buildings are clustered around the cathedral, suggesting that there used to be a common way of life, and the impetus was focused around the common Catholic life of all classes. I'm sure there were peasants, there were nobles, uh, and sadly, though, as you sprawl outward, you see more and more modern buildings. So they didn't maintain the tradition too well. They kind of gave in quite a bit in Le Mans, but it still has this nice section, beautiful section along the river where you could see how things developed because of a common way of life. And that's kind of what we're missing here in America. We have the philosophy of individualism, which is causing us to live isolated lives. We think large lawns and uh, being able to work wherever we want is an advantage that modern man should celebrate. But in reality, we come from places where a common way of life built beautiful communities, when we had that unifying impetus of Catholic culture, really. And you could see it here. You also could see it in the other town, Rothenburg, Germany, and all throughout Europe. And I know we're not all from Europe, so I'm using these examples as something from my heritage, but really, cities were built like this all over the world, Africa, Asia, wherever you went. And it's just something that I'm proud of because I'm proud of who I am. And I want to see us build like this again. And I'm sure we all do. And it's not too audacious or pretentious to imagine building like this again. I may never see this happen in my lifespan, but I can still share the ideas. It's more than a dream if I'm sharing ideas. I think we can spend years, decades trying to regain what we lost, the wisdom in urban planning and city building that we lost. And it would still be a worthwhile life if I spent my entire life just trying to rebuild our civilization in a way that makes us proud of where we live. Cities like Cayala in Guatemala are implementing these ideas. This city was built in the early 2000s, and it was the idea of Leon Crier and Studio Urbano. Thank you, the Aesthetic City YouTube channel, for sharing information on Kayala, because it is very inspiring for people like me who think that no one is doing this anymore. And uh, if you could just look at some of the shots of the actual city, it's very pedestrian friendly, traditional architecture throughout, clay roof tiles, cornices on the buildings, space that you actually want to do things in. You want to play there, you want to worship there, you want to live there, you want to shop there. It's not just a place that you go because you have to run some errands.
We can make our own hometowns places we want to be in instead of
Traveling hundreds, sometimes even thousands of miles to a destination city on a vacation. We can make our own hometowns more beautiful so that people come here, or when we just go out, we actually enjoy the space. Another town that rethinks the space the way I'm thinking is Carmel, Indiana. And thank you, Shortcut Documentaries, for this video. But Carmel, Indiana discovered that it's actually financially feasible to build parking garages underground or above ground, as long as you use the space you're saving uh, for more retail or more apartments, because that's going to bring in more income for the landlords, because you can use more of the space because it's not being used up by parking. As long as you're providing parking garages, uh, building more condensed communities actually makes sense, not just from an aesthetic standpoint and a natural standpoint for humans, but also from a monetary standpoint.
all right. One more town built in modern times, Poundbury, England. As you can see, it started in 1987, and I could just take all day just exploring this planned community that mixes modern ideals and traditional concepts. You have parking, you even have plug-ins for electric cars, and you have, I think they said something like 250 small businesses. There's 5,000 people living here, and this is just an example of what we can do. We can, as American business people and entrepreneurs, network and do something great like this. This town has affordable housing. It has public space. It has everything anyone could ask for in a town, and it was all planned just because why not? We can actually bring great minds together and come up with better plans for our communities. We don't have to just go to planning boards and say this is what's going to be monetarily feasible, and this is what everyone else is doing. Your typical strip mall with a sea of parking lots that disconnect people. We don't have to do that. We can create livable, walkable spaces where we can actually endorse community again. Look, there's even vines growing up this balcony like it's been here for centuries. I don't know how they did that. This is all built. It started in 1987, and I mean these buildings, because they use traditional concepts like chimneys and window panels, uh, sidewalks, brick, natural elements, and it's surrounded by agriculture, like I was saying earlier about Rothenburg. All these things, when brought together, they just form an environment that is more human, that we can all enjoy. And then what happens is we develop a pride of where we're from. We want to actually contribute to the place we're from, and we just build better society in general because we actually enjoy our environment. And it starts with something that simple. I mean, it's simple but not easy. Yeah, I know, but it can be done. And I mean, these are examples in this video of people doing it now. It wasn't just done in the past, and it can even be done in a lifetime. So I gave the examples of Cayala in Guatemala, Carmel, Indiana, Poundbury, England, and I'm sure there are others. I'm going to keep doing my research, and hopefully you agree that this is something that we can all get on board with and just build a better society. And it's not too pretentious. It's actually part of just being part of our world.
But you're part of this world, aren't you?